it needs to be instant. It needs to take less than a millisecond. Knowing that the more they play with their decentralized Web3 wallet, the more points they're earning in the back end for an airdrop in the future. And I was born and raised in the casino, so I don't think there are a lot of people who are deep into Avalanche trenches like we are.
Not financial advice, but I'm pretty bullish on this project, and I'm very happy to be part of it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the DeFi Podcast. Today we have Jared and JF from The Usuals here. Jared and JF, how are you both doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Great, man. Great. Beautiful summer start to New York City here. And we have a special guest today that we met at the summit, at Avalanche Summit. We have Anar and Nikolai joining us together. Hi,
nice to meet you.
Nikolai,
nice to meet you, everyone.
Hey, cool. Yeah, so they're building something called CX Chain that we're going to talk about here in a minute that I think is pretty exciting. But first, let's do a really quick market update. So basically, we recorded the podcast last week, and then right afterwards, Israel decided to preemptively attack Iran to destroy their nuclear facilities, and all risk assets across the board are basically plummeted, except for Circle and Coinbase, which are doing really well. Otherwise, everything in crypto is kind of down, not massively down, but down. So it's been, not a great week, a very red week. And JF, I think you wanted to say something about Tesla. You keep texting me, telling me to buy Tesla. So what do you want to say about Tesla, man? Go ahead, get it off your chest.
I really think, everyone is sort of missing this, but I think it's a big moment for AI. And I know we're the DeFi podcast, but AI is going, everything is computer, everything is AI, right? It's all sort of going to be what it's going to be in terms of the development of every industry is going to be based on AI. And I think it's a pivotal moment in real world AI. So everything we've seen so far is just LLMs and sort of intelligence online, if you will, on computers. But we haven't seen that carry out into the real world, in a real way. We've seen sort of Waymo test out some models, and there's people building very early robotics kind of plays. But I don't think anyone's lives has been really affected by this. And 3 days from now, robotaxis are supposedly 3 days from now. So we'll see if there's a delay. There could be delays, but right now there's no delays that have been announced. And the plan is that 3 days from now, robotaxis will start being live in Austin, and they've been getting tested for about 2 weeks. So we've seen driverless cars just driving around Austin. And there's a major difference between what Tesla's doing and what Waymo's doing. The approach is completely different. And just to cut it short, because I think we'll maybe get into this topic on future pods, but the Waymo approach is just not scalable, whereas the Tesla approach is incredibly scalable. So this could develop really, really rapidly. So just keep your eyes peeled on Austin, Texas. I think that's where, I know everyone's looking at Iran, but I think Texas is more exciting right now.
Robotaxi,
the next tech hub.
$10 trillion company.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I kind of want to get into it, but we're running short on time, so let's shelve that for now. Okay. Interesting. Okay. The other big news in macro, it's not even really big news, was yesterday the Fed had a meeting, and it was basically a big nothing burger. It was slightly less dovish than the market expected. They signaled a little bit less hikes in the rest of this year and next year, if you look at the dots. So there's no relief from the Fed, But if you look historically, anytime there's these Middle East wars start, it's always a good time. Not always, but historically has been a good time to buy risk assets. So anyway, not financial advice. Do your own research. There's your market update. Okay.
Just a question on the Fed meeting. Jerome did open with good afternoon, right? I saw a trader who bet 100,000 on whether he was going to open with
have you guys
good afternoon or hello.
Yeah, have you guys seen these TikToks? Okay, random aside. Have you guys seen these TikToks of the WNBA people betting on Reese, whatever her name is, Angel Reese, missing her first shot, and she's missed her first shot in the last 10 games, and people keep making a fortune off of it. And not only that, but posting it on TikTok. And then they got cease and desist letters because she's getting upset that people are betting on her missing her first. Anyway,
this is a great intro for CX, by the way.
Yeah. It's great. Okay, all right. Let's move on to CX Chain. So, look. Full disclosure, I'm an investor in CX Chain. I think JF may also be an investor in CX Chain. So we are definitely talking our book here when we have him on the pod. Yeah. Jared too. Okay, so please, keep that in mind when we have
Very,
this
very
discussion.
biased spot here.
Yeah, so this
Super
entire call
biased
is
spot.
CX chain holders.
Yeah, that's right.
Five for five.
But no, but look, we met you guys in London at the Avalanche Summit, and we were really interested in what you're building. So first, maybe we could just get a very brief background from you guys. Like, who are you guys? What's your background? How did you guys end up in crypto?
Thanks, Bill. Me and Nikolai, we've been working together for the last 6 years, and we started building CX Chain about 6 months ago. CX Chain is an L1 on Avalanche that decentralizes liquidity for on-chain gambling. We are creating a platform where other people can launch their games that involve a risk-taking component, and they can utilize our liquidity to match or service any kind of player. And my name is Nikolai. Thank you, everyone. Like Anar just said, we're co-founders of CX Chain, and really CX Chain started off as an idea that casinos on Web2 are often extremely unfair to their players, and we thought it would be an amazing thing to decentralize the concept in order to give everybody an equal fair chance. And this really was kicked off by some amazing scientific breakthroughs, which made this truly possible for the first time. So we're excited to talk about it today.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I want to get into the scientific breakthroughs, but before we do that, could I ask you to guys just touch a little bit upon, like, when you talk about traditional, and I'm not just casinos, but just like any kind of off-chain, like any kind of Web2 randomness. What is the issue with this? Why do you want to have it decentralized or provably random? Why is that?
So in any kind of system that is non-deterministic, you don't know for sure if the outcome is truly random. And that's really what is the main problem of any casino-like organization in the Web2 space, is that the players really have to trust a centralized body, an authority, that the result that they're getting, a win or a loss, is actually, a fact rather than made up fiction by the governing body. So that's the biggest problem.
Got it.
I mean, it's always been wild to me. Just sorry to interject, but like people get onto these like Web2 gambling platforms, and they just trust that it's like it's fair. There's no way to verify, and how many times have we seen like engineers in the background have been like sort of playing games on them and so on. It's just bananas that you're already potentially playing a negative sum game, but now you're like compounding it with like the risk of people just stealing your funds or stealing your luck.
Anar can mention another important thing. One of the components to this unfairness is that traditional Web2 casinos often let players bet on a win that the casino doesn't actually have the ability to pay out. And this has been proven time and time again.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. Especially slots, which is one of the most popular form of gambling, they have their own liquidity pools, and they redistribute the money after taking some sort of a rake. They redistribute the money to the players based on how much money other players have lost. So if somebody won before you and the liquidity is in the specific slot is empty, you are not going to win anything, even if you were lucky with the chances.
Wow.
So really, what's important is they say, like, do you have a 2% chance to win a jackpot? Those numbers don't really matter. What really matters is when the liquidity pool of Web2 slot is going big. Then it just starts giving money to people depending on the size of the liquidity.
The interesting thing about this kind of circumstances in Web 2 is that the users, they don't have any kind of proof, they don't have any kind of transaction record. They click the button, something happens in the background that they're completely unaware of, and then they get an outcome. They just have to believe that, the other side, like the counterparty is abiding by the rules, which they may not be actually at all.
It's like eating food and just like reading what's on the packaging and just going like, oh, it said healthy. It's like you want to check the ingredients, maybe, yeah.
Exactly. And all the people they trust licensing. They say, okay, if this casino has a license, then it means it's fair, which is not true.
One of the questions actually people have asked us many times is that it's such a natural concept, decentralizing gaming and gambling in any kind of non-deterministic games. Why hasn't it been done before? And maybe that's something we can also talk about.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask you, because, obviously people who, like, there's a huge contingent of people who are in crypto who came from things like poker, right? Like there's this whole story about how, online casinos used to use Bitcoin to settle things, and that got canceled, and a bunch of poker players like, what do I do now? And some of them transitioned famously to crypto, right? So I'm sure this idea has been tried, right? But why is CX Chain different?
So here it's important to really understand where the random numbers and random number generators come from. Historically, decentralizing a game like poker or like blackjack was very difficult because of the speed at which it was able to actually give you the result. And, I want to give a shout out to Ava Labs here, where their open source work has been really breakthrough. They have some great mathematicians and scientists that have generated a VRF that actually has a really fast response rate and can create a random number extremely fast. And that has been a very strong basis to our research at CX Chain as well. But this is not the only thing. There's another component to it that is house money and liquidity, which Anar can talk a little bit more of.
So a big boundary for entering any casino business is, of course, having capital in your pocket. When somebody launches a game and another person comes and says, "Oh, I want to bet $1 million on black and roulette," and you don't have $1 million in your pocket, you will not be able to accept the bet. And a decentralized liquidity pool that we create will be able to help people who are just getting into the casino business of launching their games and then servicing $10 million bets. It will make it possible.
Got it. Okay. And presumably the house money here is, who exactly are we talking about? Are we talking about people who are coming to stake capital to earn yield? Is it, like the CX Chain company itself? Is it somebody else? Like, where is this capital coming from?
There's actually two roles here that are important to understand. There is the node license stakers that are validating the entire L1 blockchain. They're responsible for making sure that the transactions are actually accurate. And then there's also the liquidity stakers who are responsible for providing the liquidity to the house as house money. And it's a very important distinction because one takes a much greater risk than the other. The liquidity providers actually have a chance that a player might win and they have to pay out that capital. But at the same time, if you think about how the liquidity works, the best thought process here is think of Jupyter liquidity pools and also Uniswap V3 pools in terms of how it will actually balance out all of the different tokens and the bets that are placed in them. So that's an important distinction.
Exactly.
Before we go a little bit further on the liquidity side of things, I'm actually kind of curious a little bit more about the VRF, if you can dig into that a little bit. I'm kind of curious why is it such a big unlock for this VRF now to be available? Like, why wasn't it? I'm curious if you actually know, like, what was the issue with, let's say, like a VRF precompile before Ava Labs tried to launch it? And also, you could go to something like Chainlink, right, which offers a VRF as a service. But I'm kind of curious, like, why this is maybe such a big unlock over the two alternatives, like not available before and also Chainlink having an offering.
That's a really great question, Jared. given the example of Chainlink, usually takes it does have a VRF indeed, but it usually takes about 5 to 10 seconds for it to execute a random number, which is extremely slow for a gambling experience. If we want to imitate a Web2 or a physical casino experience, it needs to be instant. It needs to take less than a millisecond to generate a random number, so people can when they spin slots or when they place bets, they won't even feel it.
So yeah, precompile through Chainlink is not only slow, but it's also expensive. If you have to pay fees to Chainlink every time you place a bet, that slows things down and makes things prohibitively expensive. Bringing that logic on chain, using some of the technology that Avalanche has developed, makes it first extremely fast. In addition, thanks to the L1 ecosystem that AVAX 9000 has developed, and also free, because you're able to control the number of validating nodes in order to actually execute the VRF.
Okay, so you guys, it sounds like you're creating your own chain where there will be verifiable randomness and it's fast. Okay, and obviously, like, my mind initially goes to something like a poker or a blackjack, where you want to make sure that the game is fair, right? But you guys are not just building a poker and a blackjack chain. Like, you're thinking a bigger picture than that, right? So what, in the ideal scenario, you guys, maybe talk a little bit about what's the first thing that we're going to see from CX Chain, and then if you look a year or 2 years down the road, what would you like to see happening on CX Chain?
Yes. So we are building 10, the standard casino games, which are blackjack, poker, and everything else. And we're talking to a bunch of game developers. And one of the examples that I can bring is our good friend Jassim from Plays Out, and his team. They're one of the biggest mini game developers in the industry. They are building a game, a betting platform on top of CX Chain that will allow people place bets against different flights, which will eventually come to some sort of a hedging platform where you really need to be at the conference, for example, in ETHCC 30th of June, and you really don't want to miss the flight. So you can place a bet against it that the flight is going to be delayed, and hedging, basically hedging or ensuring your flight is going to be on time, and really different concepts. I know a guy who's building a backgammon and Monopoly, like different board games, Catan, where people can gamble against each other or against a computer, and all sorts of applications. So the long-term vision is for it not to be something of a casino-like. If you open any Web2 casino, and let's say open two different casinos, and if you look at the games, all of the games are same because the game providers are same for every casino. For us, it's going to be community developed, different UI, UX, absolutely different experience that will be community driven thing. And we really think that in a year, like Polymarket is a great example. Polymarket is a standard event, outcome based event betting platform, and the bets that you can place there are very different from any other betting platform like DraftKings. It's something that community creates, and it will be way more engaging. It will be way more fun. Yeah, that's the long-term vision of having thousands of games that are not looking like a regular casino with exactly the opposite experience.
And in the short term,
I feel like there's two paths to success here. You guys might be, so you're presenting one path where it's decentralized. There's different people doing different things, and you're sort of the base liquidity layer, and you're the base tech layer. But and that might work, and that may also not work, right? Like maybe it's going to be hard to like find good partners, and it's just hard to work with other organizations, right? Like I find it's a little bit easier in crypto because it's just things are stackable, right? Like composable. So there is that, but I mean, so just like if I can maybe just go back a little bit. I I was working on a project a few years ago, and it was a stable coin. It was called Money, actually, and we were like, okay, thinking about what's a good like real world application for this stable coin called Money, and we were like, oh, casino. Let's do Las Vegas L1. Back then we called them subnets. So let's do a Las Vegas subnets. And there were two sort of like major blockers. So like the first one was the randomness thing, which seems to have been solved. So kudos on that. And then the second one was how do you actually bring enough people to this platform to like you're competing with like pretty big players, right? So how do you like actually get a bunch of people to come to this platform and use it? And I guess there's like two paths forward, right? So there's this path that you're presenting, but then if it's tough to work with partners, is there a possibility where you're developing the games and maybe your games, because you're more invested in the ecosystem, end up just doing better, right? Like, so I think a good example of that is let's say Google versus Samsung. So working on Android, I don't think Google wants to make any of the hardware on top of Android. They just want to make the base platform and then let other people build on top. But it's not working well, right? Like Samsung is going in the wrong direction and everyone else is creating garbage products, and Google like has to do it, and they're doing it half-heartedly. So yeah, I'm just curious to know if you've thought about that, if you have feelings on that. And I mean, I think what makes like just a sort of a just general thought before I stop talking. I think what makes a really good founding team is that, you know, they're able to pivot when there's a problem, right? So just curious what you think about that possibility that maybe, yeah, like how sure are you that this is the model versus are you ready if that doesn't work to go to like plan B, plan C, plan D?
A great example of this will be Pump.fun, where people can launch their own meme coins and become, you know, the owners of a certain community, and they bring people and they take the responsibility of marketing. Pump.fun we are aiming to be something like that. So to make the launching different games as easy as possible, so people don't need to take care of the back end. They all need to do is, you know, create a small story, put some visuals on top of it, and launch a game. So in Pump.fun you can create a meme coin in like 3 minutes. The whole responsibility for you is go and market this, create a community, do marketing, and bring people to buy it. That's exactly the goal that we are trying to chase, is not building games and building fun games or something very complicated. It should be very simple. It should be straightforward. Like Nikolai said, non-deterministic, which means people doing the same thing all over again, but with different outcome. Yeah, I think it's possible, but if it doesn't work, of course, we do have the Web2 expertise. We've been building with my family, we've been building different Web2 casinos before, so it's not a hard pivot for us. We will try to launch like a DEX of casino games, but then we will also be slowly introducing our own games in case it doesn't work.
Just another answer. So the goal of crypto in the first place is to decentralize things to how it is possible, to the limit. And, you know, sometimes decentralization ends up in a result that could be solved in an easier way. You know, sometimes it complicates things. But the goal is to create the technology that eases out those complications and makes it still possible to have a decentralized system.
Okay, I've got another question, and this may be another one for the trash bin, but I'll shoot my shot. So assuming the VRF is an open source thing that is developed by Ava Labs, anyone can launch a chain, anyone can put a VRF on it. Why is CX Chain better than any other chain that just launches with the VRF wanting to run games of chance?
I guess there's a first mover advantage to everything, right? That's an important component. But realistically, there's been huge support from the community, from you guys, from Haifa as well, in order to bring attention to building games on chain on L1s. We have a very large validator count, which actually fully decentralizes our blockchain and all the transactions on it. So all of this means that it becomes harder and harder to compete with CX chain as the days go by.
And I would not be afraid of having other L1s, casino L1s that are launching, because if other people are doing this, they will not take our market. They will actually be increasing the market on the Avalanche for the gambling experience. I truly think that our expertise, my family has been doing casinos for almost all the life, and I was born and raised in the casino. So I don't think there are a lot of people who are deep into Avalanche trenches like we are, with a deep understanding of the casino psychology, and as well as being engineer in the first place. So we are trying to move as fast as possible. There definitely going to be other projects that are going to build casinos or L1s, but we are trying to move as fast as possible. So we are the first, and we grab the attention of everyone faster.
There's a few things that I really love about this project. Number one, the PMF is so clear. Like the product market fit is just there. I think that's really obvious. It's just a supernatural use of blockchain tech. Number two, you've solved like a fundamental problem. I mean, you with Ava Labs are just Ava Labs, but there's something has changed in the technology that makes this project actually possible. And then number three, I'm on the inside and I'm looking at like the node holders and sort of like people who are involved in the project, and it's just a strong group. And the fact that you have like the background in it plus that group, not financial advice, but I'm pretty bullish on this project. I'm very happy to be part of it.
Listen, I have like 100 questions, but we're limited on time, so maybe we can do another pod like in a month or two or something like that. But I know you guys have a node sale coming up soon, so can you talk about that a little bit, and then I have one more question.
Sure. We actually have a node sale in about 20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. This will come out tomorrow, so it will have been yesterday, but okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's happening 19th at 1 p.m. We are selling a batch 2 for 250 node licenses. They will buying a node license will grant you an opportunity to run a validator node for CX chain, and also all the people that are buying licenses are getting a 0.025% of the total token supplies in airdrop. It's a first come first serve, fair launch. Fingers crossed, but I feel very optimistic. Been getting a lot of attention on that. Hopefully, we are gonna sell out quickly and do the batch 3 end of August, first week of September, and in next 6 months the TGE.
Got it. Okay, and then just the last question before we wrap up for today, and is just for someone who's not necessarily going to buy a node license, but just wants to check out the product, once it launches, right? What is it that they should look forward to? Like my impression is, the first proof of concept game on the chain that you guys are making is going to be, maybe poker or blackjack. So you can basically go there, play poker or blackjack that is fair because it's using VRFs. The house money is there because you can see it on chain, so you can make bets confidently. And then you can play the game and maybe earn some airdrop points, something like that.
Yeah, so you're spot on. The biggest thing that people should be looking forward to is getting a fair chance playing, knowing that the game is fair, and additionally knowing that the more they play with their decentralized Web3 wallet, the more points they're earning in the back end for an airdrop in the future. And depending on the daily betting volume, that airdrop could be significant.
Okay, well, I mean, from our point of view, like I'm looking forward to just, I mean, it's kind of slow to be honest in crypto right now. So to be able to play something on chain that I know is fair, while earning airdrop points, I like to think of myself as a positive EV
Why lose
player,
money on meme
probably
coins when
not.
you can go lose money at blackjack?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. And I appreciate it. Good luck with the node sale. And
Thank
we're
you so
excited
much.
that you
Thanks
guys
for
are building
inviting
on
us.
Avalanche. Yeah.
Thanks,
Chatting
guys.
soon. Okay.
It's nice to see everybody.
Okay, guys. Bye.